The little bee just wanted to soak up the sun on the beach, but unexpectedly, it almost drowned in the sweat that the duck had wrung out. Angry, it wanted to confront the duck. However, when the duck found out, it didn't apologize at all. Instead, it blew the bee into a seashell in one swift puff. Then, laughing, it used the sharp tip on its tail to open a bottle cap. The bee, having freed itself, could no longer hold back. It immediately aimed its stinger at the duck and dove. In an instant, pierced dozens of large holes in the duck's straw. It had hoped this would scare the duck into apologizing, but the duck didn't show any remorse. Instead, while the bee wasn't paying attention, the duck trapped it in a bottle. Then it laughed loudly, mocking the bee for overestimating itself. After that, it jumped into the water with an inflatable raft and started sunbathing as if nothing had happened. When the little bee realized the bottle contained a carbonated drink, it immediately stirred it with its stinger, as gas built up inside. The next moment, it was launched out. Furious, it spotted the duck again, and immediately charged toward it with a dive. But the duck dodged just in the nick of time. The bee's sneak attack had failed, so it had to think of another plan. Then it noticed the duck was on an inflatable raft. Cleverly, decided to deflate it. The duck tried to stop it, realizing the danger, but it was already too late. The escaping air shot the duck into a group of sharks. Panicked, the duck quickly re-inflated the raft, but the next moment, the little bee stabbed a big hole in the raft right in front of it. The duck tried to plug it with a single finger. The next second, the bee pierced dozens more holes. No matter how hard the duck tried to stop it, its efforts were limited. Seeing the duck's hands and feet trapped, the bee immediately dove into the water, digging a hole at the duck's rear. Then it pulled out one of the duck's feathers and taunted the sharks with it. The awakened sharks immediately opened their gaping jaws. Luckily, at the critical moment, the duck leapt up to save itself. To stay alive, it sprinted toward the shore. Even so, the sharks bit onto its kayak. Frightened, the duck had to run even harder, but it didn't realize that the sharks had already anchored the kayak to a wooden post. Confused, the duck wondered where the sharks had gone. The next moment, the little bee set a trap, and the sharks swallowed the duck whole.